right, guys, today we're hopping into a leg day at DMB Iron Barbell Club in Alexandria. I've been an absolute dickhead. I was moving last week. I haven't trained legs in like 10 days. You know, when you're moving boxes and shit and you're busy, the easiest day to skip is leg day. So I've gotten some upper body sessions in, but I haven't trained legs. So be a bit of a reintroduction into me training legs. Run through warm up. So probably start with more passive based modalities. And guys, you don't have to do any of this. If you feel good, you can just hop into the A1 for today, which would be like a stationary lunge on a landmine. But if I were to build a warm up, I want to start with something more passive. So right now I'm gonna do some foam rolling. My calves always get beat up pretty quickly. So I'll start with some rolling to see how I'm feeling. You could add in some more, passive stuff like stretching. This could even be too, or if you're working with like a massage therapist or a bodywork person, you're getting body work done beforehand. But I would kind of phase things first as in, okay, passive work first. Can we, desensitize or free up range of motion in certain tissues before we get moving? Then I look at, okay, what's next? I want to do things that are going to be more, either drill-based work, which are things that are going to help me improve positions, or things that might actually actively be moving me through range of motion I'm going to need on a given day. Or I can just look at building capacity or awareness in certain positions. That's maybe where I'm going to throw in like a stationary lunge ISO, or for a gym pop client, maybe we do like a bear plank, right? Something pretty basic to start to build awareness around certain positions. Stationary lunge would be hip extension. Bear plank would be, more stacking ribcage and pelvis, creating posterior expansion. So picking up on one of my biggest mentors in my career, Killian Hamilton, he's talking about this idea of calling back on something, right? Calling back in a session. I love supported hip airplanes because one, we can train some rotation of a pelvis around a fixed femur, something that we're going to see a lot in training, but specifically doing stationary lunges, doing B-stance RDLs, people often struggle with rotating the pelvis towards that front leg and actually getting that really good hip ire on the front leg. So this idea that, okay, I'm doing this to actually improve range of motion in my warm-up moving into a day, but also I'm building some awareness in a position or in a movement where I can call back on that later in a session. Remember, okay, yeah, I built the kind of cognitive blocks there in a warm-up that I'm gonna call back on during my actual session. So shout out Killian Hamilton. Passive stuff, more drill-based work, or more like, capacity, position-based work. Warm-up should be basically set like that. And if you don't need any of that, just hop into your actual training. All right, dude, I feel like a fucking TikToker holding this goddamn microphone. I'm gonna put this down in a second. Last thing I'm gonna say is I like to integrate some more like low-level plyos in my warm-up, or if I'm doing any sort of, plyometric jumping stuff in a given day, I'll do that on the back end of my hip stuff. So now, again, I haven't jumped in 10 or so days, doing nothing crazy. This is probably what I would give to some, boomer or, very, beginner to intermediate clients that came in and want to do some more athletic based things. So I get a lot from Matt Watson's Plyo Plus stuff. I'm gonna pick a lot of his like light tier based stuff today, probably go through 3 or 4, maybe throw in some skips, single leg bounds, whatever. Just see how I feel jumping, moving around, see how athletic I feel after being a dickhead for the last couple of weeks. And I think that goes really well in between, more of the passive and drill based stuff and the actual loaded stuff on a given day. So we'll do that right now. Points here with execution. This is not even more like gym pop or intermediate athletes. I see even with some of the D1 and pro guys I work with, when they jump, they want to have this like super limp foot, like landing plantar flex. I want to be stiff to the ankle on ground contact. I want to waste energy. When I'm jumping toe pointed down, first thing I have to do, dorsiflex to actually jump up. So I want to almost cue toes up. So something to look for and some intent to have with these, even low intensity, is keeping stiffness through the ankle. When I contact the ground, I'm maintaining that stiffness. I'm not contacting the ground with a limp ankle. If you're having a hard time with really locking in that stiff ankle, I find right here, we have rubber, we have turf, right? The rubber, when I jump, you can almost hear the pop. You can hear it a lot better. So find a surface where you can actually listen, find that rhythm, find that pop. That'll give you pretty direct feedback if you're an auditory learner versus something like turf or grass where it's harder to hear that. Doesn't mean those are bad, but if you need some help with learning that, this can help a lot. And then lastly, when I'm doing more low-level based stuff, I think there's a great opportunity to throw in variety. So you see I'm doing some pogos, or some leaps, some single leg stuff, some lateral stuff, some semi-lateral stuff. Throw in a good variety. I think it's a good space to do that in your warm-up with low intensity stuff. Just reminding me, there's a landmine attachment somewhere. I don't know where it is. All you need is a barbell you can shove in a corner in a dream, and you can get a lot done. So landmine, some might say not optimal for whatever fancy reason. From a practicality standpoint, we don't have free weights down here besides barbells. Maybe typically I would do this with a dumbbell, but I have a landmine. The landmine B stance RDL I actually like for many reasons, but I have a landmine here. I want to do a lunge pattern. I want to do a B stance RDL pattern. So here we are, landmine in the corner. We'll do two or three sets of each. I'll run through what I like about each of those and kind of some coaching points as well. Typically, I'll try to get relatively 90-90. So 90 degrees front leg, 90 degrees back leg. I don't want to be too tight. I don't want to be too long. When you're getting set up, I'll get set up more from the ground. That's maybe a little bit of a fortune angle. That's fine. I'm just trying to get even weight distribution between legs. I really want to cue active back hip extension. A lot of people suck at that when they're lunging. You see kind of this motion, this knee wants to come forward. They want to bend over. I want to be able to keep the spine long and actually drive into this back hip to train hip extension better. I'm not trying to challenge glutes per se at this back leg, but more so the movement quality of hip extension. So whether it's for performance, I'm doing things that require sprinting, jumping, whether it's for hypertrophy or for aesthetics, I need to do things where I'm fully extending the hip, expressing variability of the glutes. This is a great exercise, whether it's landmine, dumbbell, you name it, for us to actually improve those qualities so we can do more with whatever our goals are. So executing, I want to cue more straight down, straight up. I want to stack ribcage and pelvis. I'm not getting this strip ass right here. Common question I get is, what are exercises I should do to improve hip internal rotation? And when I say things like B stance RDL, or I say things like stationary lunge, people are like, what? It's not some like mobility or breathing drill. It's like, those things might help us execute this better, but at some point we're going to need better movement mechanics and need a component of a load to actually create that adaptation. So why do I love these? Both of these were challenging some degree of frontal plane hip movement. So my pelvis is shifting over, I'll stand up, over this one leg base of support. If I stand on one leg, you're gonna see my hips have to shift outside of this one leg, right? So I can't just stand here and stand up without side crunching, right? My center of mass has to move over this one leg. I'm doing a B stance RDL. I'm getting components of hip IR, hip flexion, rotation of the pelvis towards the working leg, right? I'm getting lots of IR, lots of length through my glutes. How can I get better hip IR? Doing that. How can I do it in a variety of ways? Well, I'm doing more of a true hinge with the RDL, with the stationary lunge, more of a vertically translating pelvis. So you could tie in some components of back hip extension with those as well. If we can do both of those things as a heuristic, I have the requisite movement ability to, control my pelvis, stack ribcage pelvis, move to the frontal plane, turn pelvis towards working leg, maintain center of mass, right? All those things are going to feed into us having really high functioning, strong hips. So what should I do? B stance RDL, stationary lunge. With the B stance RDL, I'll walk over here. When getting far too wide, like out here, it's like if I'm trying to move my center of mass over a more single leg base of support, I probably want to be slightly inside hip width so I can actually shift my hips outside of this working leg, right? I want to have a more limited base of support, whether it's stationary lunge, B stance RDL. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to point this back toe towards my front heel to influence that pelvis rotating towards that front leg. Lastly, a lot of people want to really push into this back leg. They have a hard time staying on the front leg. B stance RDLs, rear foot elevated split squats. They're a front leg exercise. Let's stay on the front leg. So getting set up here, common thing I'll do, we'll get set up, we'll go heel toe, turn the back toe towards the front heel. What I'll have them do is pick up the back leg, pick it up, shift onto that front leg. Watch it from the side. I'm getting set up, I'm here. If I'm really back leg heavy, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna center myself over this front leg. Now I have really good weight distribution for me to actually move to this front hip and not compensate by moving to the back hip. All right, so we're gonna go finish up the day. We'll really order warm-up stuff, jump stuff, more skill-based work. Typically how I would organize a session would be that. Warm up, more skill or more compound work. We don't have anything like very heavy today, but the B stance RDL is the stationary lunges. Then pretty boy stuff, adductor machine, seated hamstring curl, quad extension. I'm not gonna cover the quad extension, that's pretty straightforward, but I'll go over some tips on the seated hamstring curl. This one's pretty straightforward as well. What you'll see on here too, I'm trying to get back into Muay Thai, so I wanna get my hips feeling really good. I'm gonna treat this like loaded mobility and loaded strength. So what I'm gonna do, I'll do my 10 to 12 reps, and then while I'm resting about 90 seconds, I'm gonna hold that in range for about 30 seconds. Not under load, it's a nice little passive stretch. Is there science or research behind that? I don't know. Feels good, my hips feel better when I do it, so I'm gonna do it. See the hamstring curl, a couple of quick tips. One, if you want to grow your hamstrings, we need a stable pelvis. You see a couple setups here. You see one where I'm kind of pushing back. I'm still stacking my rib cage. I'm thinking about almost pushing my ribs down. I'm not pushing myself back into extension. I'm pushing my ribs down, getting a nice crunch, keeping my back flat to the pad. One of the biggest mistakes you're gonna see in general is just people kind of like throwing it back, getting strip rats while they're actually going through knee flexion. I don't wanna go through knee flexion and have my pelvis moving at the same time. I want pelvis fixed as I'm moving through knee flexion. What can help with that is going straight shins. Knees gonna have a hard time bending if we're super externally rotated or like feet are pointed out. So we wanna get relative tibial IR. Generally speaking, I'll just cue like Achilles or shins straight. So Achilles to the pad or shins straight. Get things nice and straight, pull the toes to you, keep the back flat to the pad. Whether you wanna do this setup or this setup, I think more of the hug variation you'll see is a good constraint on stacking the rib cage and pelvis, keeping the pelvis stable. Do we get more length? Maybe a little bit. Is it significant? Probably not. I, in the long run, would go with one that's more loadable, which I think is a variation where we are pushing ourselves back, getting a more horizontal counter force where most of this arc of the movement is gonna be more horizontal. But yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Back flat, core stable, shin straight. I'm not gonna cover this one, but with the quad extension, I find it so funny. I see people with the pads you buy online, you put behind this pad to get more range of motion, and it's like this prime machine goes literally until you're so far shut of the machine you can't go anymore. It's like it's more range of motion, gonna do anything. Anyways, wrapping up quad extension. Nothing special here. If you guys like this format where it's in the gym training with me, let me know what kind of subtopics you want me to have down below in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.